The grand keynotes have been those at TiE who have changed the course of an industry or those who made a deep impact on society. Today's grand keynote is about one such company, Netflix. To tell the story of Netflix, we have an insider, Gagan Hasteer, who would interview the legendary CEO and the head of content from India to bring out the global nature of content development at Netflix. So Reed Hastings, the CEO who co-founded Netflix in 1997, he's a legend now, and gone through a number of different pivots of Netflix and brought it to the position that it is now. In 1991, Reed co-founded Pure Software, which after an IPO got acquired by Rational Software in 1997. Reed is an active philanthropist and serves on the California State Board of Education from 2000 to 2004. He's on the board of several educational organizations these days. And the interesting fact is that he served in Peace Corps as a high school math teacher in Swaziland. The other person participating in this conversation is Monika, and she's a vice president of content at Netflix India. And she oversees the development, creation, licensing, and acquisition of all Indian language content on Netflix. Prior to this, she was a producer of a very popular series, Satyamev Jayate. Talking to these two is an insider from Netflix, Gagan Hasteer. Gagan is vice president of content engineering at Netflix, and he leads a team that builds products and technology to help Netflix produce, promote, and deliver content efficiently and at scale. I've known Gagan since 1998, when he worked at Ambit as a first job after finishing his PhD. With this, let me hand it over to Gagan.
Thank you, Venk, and hello, everyone. I'm Gagan Hasteer. I'm thrilled to be part of this incredible event along with two very special people. I joined Netflix exactly 10 years ago, and it's been an incredible journey for me. A huge part of the journey is thanks to our incredible co-founder and co-CEO, Reed Hastings, who's led us to become a global entertainment company and created a culture that is an integral part of our success. Also joining us today is Monika Shergill, who runs content for us in India, one of the world's most interesting entertainment industries. Over the next 25 minutes, I'd love to talk to Reed and Monika about some of our learnings that entrepreneurs and executives would find interesting, the role of our culture in our success, and how India is an important part of our global strategy. I'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge the difficult situation in India. Many, including our friends and families, are affected by COVID-19. And my thoughts, my prayers, and my best wishes are with everyone. We hope that we'll be able to get past this very soon.
Thanks, Gagan. Well, your first 10 years have been pretty great, so I look forward to your second 10 years at Netflix. Like Gagan, I want to express my solidarity with everyone fighting COVID-19 around the world, especially in India right now. Until we get the vaccine well distributed, we're in for more suffering, I'm afraid. Fortunately, India, as the global leader in vaccine manufacturing, is well positioned, and we look forward to recovery over time. Around the world, separate from COVID, India and Indians have been leaders in tech entrepreneurship and in developing content. So this is a perfect conversation to have. And Gagan, I'll turn it over to you.
Let's kick things off with a couple of questions around our culture. Read your book, No Rules Rules, is a candid look at the way Netflix operates. Specifically, it discusses that freedom that employees have within the company and how important that is. How have you maintained this freedom as the company has grown around the world?
Well, freedom allows agility and develops independent thinking of the leaders all around the world. And so the key with freedom is having as much of it as possible, but not falling into chaos. So we talk about managing on the edge of chaos and without resulting to a set of rules. And the way we do that is to really talk about values, both values in terms of interpersonal, how people relate to each other on the team, how they're honest and thoughtful and candid with each other, and also context in terms of the businesses that we're going after, why we're not in sports, why we want to lead drama and entertainment generally. So again, it's setting context broadly instead of setting a lot of rules.
Building on that concept of freedom, Reed, is how you have sometimes said that you would like to make less decisions and not more, and you have gone through a quarter without making any. Do you worry sometimes that we might get a critical decision wrong without your involvement? And then how can other companies and entrepreneurs make this work?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a worry. Again, back to that managing on the edge of chaos, it's making as few decisions as possible so that people closer to the different businesses are making them. But it's watching out. I try to be very informed about what decisions are getting made, and then to help guiding and setting context that helps everyone make better decisions. But it's definitely a balancing act. It's not as simple as ignore work, go to sleep, and tune out. So for me, it's being deeply involved, but again, really trying to build the leadership muscles of all the teams, rather than me being excited by making all these decisions.
Monika, how challenging is it to apply this approach when you're tasked with the responsibility of growing the India business pretty much from its infancy?
It's actually very fascinating, Gagan, because it allows us to scale as a company. In fact, what it really requires is a very clear vision and a strategy, like Reed said. As a leader, you have to have a very clear vision of where you want to go and how you want to reach there in terms of the broader mapping of it. But where the details are concerned, it's really amazing to have empowered decision making, which can then create a team of very nimble and empowered leaders who at every level take amazing ownership of what they do and how they reach there. So for me, as the India content leader, my global manager has really empowered me to create a country strategy. And I'm very clear about where we want to see Netflix growing in the country. And in turn, I'm empowering my team to really go and find the stories that can make us the most entertaining service in the country. So that's how it, really comes together. It seems very difficult, but actually, like Reed rightly said, it's on the edge of chaos, but it's the best way to make a company scale up.
Stepping back a bit, Reed, Netflix culture is very widely regarded here in the Silicon Valley. In the context of a startup, how should a founder think about this? Like, when should they focus on people and culture versus product and customers? Does it depend on the stage of the company?
It definitely did for me. For our first 4 years, we were losing a lot of money trying to pioneer the DVD by mail business in the US. And all we thought about was survival. We really didn't think about culture explicitly. It was, inevitably a reflection of us as leaders, but we didn't write anything down or talk about it much. And then when we went public in 2002, we were like, oh my God, we're going to live. And we thought the cruelest irony would be to grow into something that we did not want to work at. And so the culture really started as, how do we keep this a place where we are really stimulated, where we really want to continue to work here? And we realized that's about having incredible talent, great freedom, and that we should push those bounds, because that was the kind of company that we wanted to work at.
Thanks, Reed. I think you touched upon this in the previous question. I'll just build on that. You have led Netflix through fundamental industry shifts, DVDs to streaming, and then from licensing content to producing original content. What major challenges and impediments did you face as a leader, and how did you get through those?
Well, as a small company, you need some crack in the existing infrastructure to build a company. So think of Tesla with, electric engines. Without that, they would not have been successful as a car company. and then they have to learn to be a great car company and to stay ahead. Similar for us, it was the internet and the ability to stream. We were more confident of that. We didn't have a revenue stream to protect. And so we were able to charge in and really develop a lead. And now it's super exciting race with Disney, HBO, and many other companies. And so, again, it really depends, I think, on your industry dynamics. In our particular industry dynamics, that was the dislocation that allowed us to be a weed and grow through the cracks, and then, grow into a really strong tree.
So Reed, Netflix had a very strong DVD business at that time, and very few people are able to look past it and make that strategic shift that could be so painful. How should entrepreneurs and business leaders think about change, when to pivot, and hence how to stay ahead in their business?
There's kind of two aspects of leadership. One is being a thoughtful, direct, compelling person that other people want to follow. And then the second part is guiding them in the right directions. And so 25 years ago, I worked at a startup led by a great human being. And he was a phenomenal leader, would have followed him anywhere. And unfortunately, he led the company into what I'll call a box canyon, a place with no exit. And we built this elaborate software that basically no company ever bought or installed. And so he had great leadership in the sense of, everyone wanted to follow him, but he didn't have a good sense of where the market is going. And so you kind of see both. You see CEOs that only understand where the market is going, but they're not a very good people leader. Or you see, like the example I gave you of a people leader, not enough market sense. So you got to have both to really guide the company successfully. So to answer your question specifically, I spend a lot of time thinking, what is going to be the nature of the entertainment business in 5 and 10 years? And how do we set ourselves up so that we can continue to prosper if we execute really well?
Reed, all entrepreneurs go through highs and lows. The path to success is seldom smooth. When people look at you, they see a lot of success. But were there times going back to the early days of Netflix when, things were hard and there were dark days for you and, you even maybe thought of giving up? And how did you come out through that?
Sure. The business has faced many challenges, huge battle with Blockbuster, evolving to streaming and Quickster, various things. But in those moments, you're pretty unified against the world. So it's unclear if the business is going to survive, but you as a team, executive team and broader across the company are very unified fighting this terrific battle. And those are actually some of the best moments. They're challenging, for shareholders, but they're great for the employees, very exciting. The times that are tough internally are when the team's not communicating effectively, when the senior leaders are quarreling, when there's, internal dissension. And the market may be going great and the company may be growing, but it's not that happy a place. So those are the tougher times, I think. And we've had a couple of those, and it varies by department, where basically you don't tend to the garden of alignment. You've always got to be tending to that garden of alignment and to keep the weeds down to an acceptable level. The weeds are unalignment or misalignment. And sometimes you miss something and that happens. And then, people are working hard, but not happily because there's internal conflict. So I would say in general, internal conflict is the hardest one. And then external conflict is kind of exciting. Like right now, we've got all these huge competitors coming after us, but that makes it more fun. Unfortunately, right now, we're feeling very aligned, so we're in a good spot internally. But, we've had our up and downs, which, goes with the team dynamics.
Thanks, Reed. I think since you brought up competition, aren't you worried about that heightened competition? Does that impact Netflix's growth potential? How do you think about that?
Yeah, I am. It's amazing the amount of entertainment content arrayed against us, all of Warner Media, all of Disney Media. And so it's just, it's an amazing amount of content. And so for us, it's very motivating, but also worrisome. Because if we don't take it seriously, if we don't realize, you know, we were the only game in town, us and Amazon and Hulu for a long time, and now we've got lots of competition. So what it's up to us is to execute and to be the best content producer the world's ever seen, and then to distribute that content in the best user interface. And so it's, you know, so stimulating, and people can just relax, and that most of their viewing becomes Netflix. So, you know, we've got the clear vision. They're all trying to become us. And for us, it's just staying ahead by improving our execution.
My next question is for both of you, Reed and Monika. 2020 was hugely challenging for many industries. What did the last year teach you from an industry perspective and from an employee point of view?
Really resilience. I mean, this is the worst thing to happen to the planet, you know, in 100 years. And, you know, it's super tragic. But boy, what if it had happened 20 years ago when we weren't able to make vaccines so quickly? You know, be 10 times worse. What if the virus had been more deadly, like the 1918 version? So this is a great wake-up call of the dangers that are presented here, and also an amazing testament to ingenuity and science to develop new vaccines and get them approved and starting to be manufactured within 1 year, and hopefully within 2 years of the advent of the disease, to have, you know, nearly everyone around the world vaccinated. It's a miracle.
Monika?
I really feel, Gagan, and I agree with Reed, you know, resilience is one thing which has kept everyone going through this very, very difficult time. But I also want to, you know, take a moment to reflect on what we do at work as people working at Netflix. And I really feel that, you know, stories have played such a huge part in keeping everyone going over the last year. And it is beyond streaming industry, I would say, in general, and Netflix in particular. You know, I feel that from what we do and the business we run, the responsibility is to go much further than that into telling stories which, you know, impact the compassion in the world and really bring us all together, because people have connected through us, they have traveled through us, they've experienced a diverse set of emotions. So I think that has been something which, as a storyteller, as a former journalist and a creator, that is something which is very, very close to me, and I feel we have a responsibility. And as an individual, you said, how has it changed? I would say that it's really taught me the power of connecting with my colleagues, with everyone, because this virtual is too much. I'm personally fed up. I really miss meeting people. So,
Monika, let's talk about our content strategy in India. You know, you and your team, you're creating a wide variety of films and series, from Delhi Crime, Mighty Little Beam, Ludo, Bad Boy Billionaires. How do you find the right mix and balance of content for such a vast Indian audience?
Indian audience is actually very, very heterogeneous. It is extremely diverse. The tastes are very, very diverse. But I think there is no service better than Netflix suited to cater to that audience. Because if you look at Netflix, how we program, diversity is at the heart of how we really reach out to every member out there who could today be wanting to watch something which is a crime series, tomorrow evening, morning, whatever time people are watching across the world, would want to watch romance, would want to watch a documentary or an unscripted series. So what we do as a service, we program for every taste and every mood, so that every day or night at Netflix is a premiere night. And that is something which is at the heart of how we program in every country, and India is no different. But I must say this, that because of the diversity of the content that Indians look at, I think Netflix is amazingly suited to everyone here. And, you know, if I can give an example, actually, that we have a family entertainer coming, Sardar Ka Grandson, later this month. It's a complete family entertainer film. And at the same time, we have just premiered The Disciple, which is an award-winning Marathi film made by Chaitanya Tamhane and Alfonso Cuarón. So that's the range that we operate in. We really want to be the home of the most gritty series like Jamtara. And at the same time, later this year, we'll be debuting Madhuri Dixit in a very glossy, pulpy mystery drama series. So those are the kind of stories that we feel will reach out to different kinds of audience, will bring on large cohorts of audience to watch. And that is the way as a team we are programming to ensure that more and more people find their entertainment on Netflix in India.
Speaking for my family and some of the friends here, we watch almost every Indian series that is launched on Netflix, and we keep waiting for the next one with a bated breath. So
I can assure you there's lots more coming.
Yeah, the impact of your decisions is not just on India, but worldwide, especially on the Indian diaspora. So Monika, what does success for Netflix look like in India?
I have a very short answer for that, Gagan, which is that Netflix, all of us as a team want to make Netflix the service of choice for as many people. And that
sweet, makes sense. Reed, India is the first country in the world where Netflix launched a mobile plan. What was the rationale behind that decision? And then how should entrepreneurs think about different business models and what works best in each country?
Well, Reliance Jio radically changed the Indian internet access market over the last 5 years. India used to have the most expensive data in the world. Now it's got the lowest cost, most accessible content in the battle between Airtel and Jio. And most of that is mobile bandwidth. So it's more mobile centric than any country in the world because the internet has really been a mobile phenomena as opposed to a wired to a person's home phenomena for the most part. So that's what's unique. And again, every entrepreneur and every business has to adapt to local conditions. We do in terms of the storytelling. We do in terms of lots of aspects of the business. And having a mobile first plan, is an example of that. But it's tremendous just to see what the low cost of data can do in a country, and phenomenal to be one of the drivers of that.
Monika, there are quite a few entrepreneurs here, very smart people thinking about the next idea and thinking about gaps in the market and what they can fill in their next effort. So what opportunities has Netflix and more generally the growth of streaming in India created in related industries?
I think streaming in particular has really revolutionized the creative business here. We've been having, we're a very rich cinema country. Bollywood has been making hundreds of films every year. South India, down south, you see the cinema industry, which is so robust. And our television industry is also, very, very sort of big and thriving. But streaming has brought about a very unique change in the market. It has expanded the entire pool of creators, if I would say. It has impacted the art and science of the business both. So at one end is, the storyteller, the creator, the writer, who generates the idea. It has completely opened up the world for so many new voices, original voices and talent to come and tell these stories. And at the same time, it has also, impacted the technical part of the business with so many people, because of the kind of quality that streaming has brought to the country. It has given work to so many post-production people with high-end post-production skill sets. New facilities have opened up. VFX has really taken off. And so every part of telling a story and how we bring it to life on screen has actually really, increased phenomenally, all the talent and on-screen talent. It has given a lot of opportunity to a lot of on-screen talent. And one industry which didn't have so much, sort of opportunities till now, the dubbing, the language writers, the dubbing directors, it's completely blown that up because people are loving stories from all across the world in different languages. So it's really brought a lot of good, high quality work to, a large number of people.
That's excellent, Monika. Exciting times for the streaming industry and for the creative industry in general. Reed, anything you'd like to add?
You know, the goal of Netflix is really to make content, you know, in India, in Poland, in Brazil, in Hollywood, and then have it be shared around the whole world. And in doing that, we bring all the people of the world much closer together and provide them the best stories that help them escape and relax.
And so for your parting thoughts, Reed, you've been a successful serial entrepreneur. Is there any additional advice you would like to offer to the entrepreneurs here today?
You know, there's so much out there written. The book that helped me the most is called Beyond Entrepreneurship by Jim Collins before he wrote Good to Great. And so I would recommend, especially the first 80 pages. I used to read that every year for my first 10 years as an entrepreneur.
Awesome, Reed. I'm going to read that book too.
That's a great tip.
Thanks to everyone, and Gagan and Monika, what a pleasure to do this with you, and to the Indian entrepreneurs throughout the United States. You've made us such a richer culture, and we're so benefited, and we hope to return the favor by doing great content in India.
Thanks again, Monika and Reed, for coming here and sharing the wealth of your experience with everyone. And then with that, I would like to close this wonderful session today. Hope you all found it engaging and insightful. Back to you, Deepti.
Thank you, Gagan. I hope all of you enjoyed listening to how Netflix's culture of creativity and reinvention have helped the company seize opportunities, learn different lessons, and constantly get better at entertaining people around the world.